First by the dozens, now by the millions. Americans everywhere are speaking out against reckless spending and debt, against ever-growing government, speaking out for freedom.
Welcome, welcome. This is the official start time of the 9/12 March on Washington, D.C. Apparently, we were not loud enough in February. We were not loud enough in April. We were not loud enough in July. We were not loud enough in August. So we're turning up the volume. Congress, Speaker Pelosi, President Obama, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
The voice of freedom is being heard loud and clear last November in Virginia and New Jersey.
We did it.
Then even louder in Massachusetts, where the rising tide of freedom made Ted Kennedy's Senate seat the people's seat.
Speaker Pelosi, if you noticed, we replaced the grass on the West Lawn with AstroTurf.
These are folks taking time out of their own lives who didn't anticipate having to do this, who saw an unresponsive government and are responding the way our founders did.
We're in a very tenuous situation as a country, and I'm afraid that too many in Washington still don't get it.
It's not enough to have good ideas. You have to have the ground troops. You have to have that machinery. You have to have that community of people that are willing to show up.
I know the other side said that it was just AstroTurf, but as I looked out on hundreds of thousands of Americans taking a stand for limited government and fiscal responsibility, it looked like the cavalry to me.
What you're going to do is take a bunch of politicians that are too big for their britches, and as my daddy used to say, we're going to put them in their place.
First they were ignored, then mocked and ridiculed. But still they came, ordinary Americans with a passion for freedom. Now the Tea Party movement is a dominant force in American politics. It has shifted the political debate. Freedom and limited government are now dead center on the political spectrum.
You become a grandmother for the first time. The whole world revolves around your grandson. And then with all these bailouts and things that were going on, I suddenly realized that, hey, my grandson's future is at stake.
It is not the fact that this vote deserves to go to that party or this vote deserves to go to that party. It's about why don't we, the people, stand together and hold them both accountable.
People want to be represented and listened to. And that is not what has been going on during the past year of this administration. So that's what the movement is about. It's about freedom. It has nothing to do about minorities or colors. It's a group of people coming together as one.
My parents gave me the gift of this country at a time and in a place when I had every opportunity. And I have the obligation to deliver at least that much to my children.
The Tea Party protests are a reaction to arrogant government, to corruption, waste, and ever-increasing government control over our lives and livelihoods. Americans are angry about losing our great country.
Unfunded liabilities for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, rising taxes, government increased control. But it's precisely because we, the people, are rising up. Hundreds of thousands around the country taking time out of their lives when they didn't anticipate doing so and saying, no, this must stop.
It's in fact the most real, authentic, widespread American uprising of sentiment for freedom and against the oppressions of an overindulgent government that I have ever seen in my lifetime.
As we got into the summer of people who had gone from tea parties to town halls to shaking their finger at their congressmen and senators, it was pretty exciting for me to watch because some of these same senators had lectured me on keeping a low profile, stop rocking the boat. They went home and heard from their people And some of them actually came back changed, ready to fight with me.
But this is a genuine movement of the American people that have a desire to take their country back and to bring their country back to the principles of limited government, fiscal responsibility, personal responsibility, and the ideals that, quite frankly, both parties have failed to advance.
These guys are straight smack in the middle of where public opinion right now is. And if they succeed this fall, you could have a fundamental realignment where both Republicans and Democrats are clamoring to prove that they are the party of limited government, that they are the party of individual freedom.
FreedomWorks has been at the forefront of this new American revolution. We did not create it, we do not control it, but we are helping it grow into a force that will transform our political system. Virginia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts are just the beginning.
I used to laugh at my colleagues in the House. This is a job. You're lucky to have it, and you're a servant of your employer. And if you don't do it right, you're going to get fired. And there are going to be a lot of them fired in this next election.
What happened in Massachusetts was people voting with their heads, realizing that if they didn't make a change, it might not get made at all. But Massachusetts may have started something, in addition to what's happened in Virginia and New Jersey, that's going to go all across the country. And I hope it'll change politics forever in America.
Protests and rallies and showing up at town hall meetings is only the first step. At some point, you need to put some structure and some clarity to what happens next.
Take America back. This is the FreedomWorks master plan to restore sanity and fiscal responsibility to America. The plan is bold. It calls for continued support of the Tea Party movement. The millions already involved must turn into tens of millions over the next few months. Mr. Obama has told us he will not stop. He's not listening. He will continue to push his radical agenda of bigger government, reckless spending, and debt. But we won't stop either. We will continue mobilizing grassroots America, training Tea Party activists, helping them recruit others, and educating voters. And by Election Day this November, we will be poised to take America back.
We'll raise the largest voice for freedom, liberty, restraint of small government you've ever seen, and it'll be a voice that the politicians cannot ignore. They can't say these people don't matter because these people are going to vote in their elections.
And imagine not just the possibility of taking America back and replacing big government politicians with fiscal conservatives, but also having the apparatus, the grassroots machinery, to keep those guys honest, so we don't lose once we win.
We were doing this since 1984. When I was in Congress for 18 years, every major fight I ever got into, FreedomWorks, at that time with Citizens for a Sound Economy, showed up for the fight, understood it properly, pulled their weight in the fight, and made a difference. Now, all of a sudden, the amount of personnel across the country and energy has been quadrupled. It is so great to stand in the middle in an army that's 5 times bigger than we are and shares our commitment and can be relied upon.
FreedomWorks Take America Back plan means funds are urgently needed for a massive recruitment effort that partners FreedomWorks with leading talk show hosts such as Glenn Beck, to increase online capabilities for communicating directly with Tea Party activists around the country. Funds are needed for our Patriot training sessions to equip Tea Party leaders with the tools they need to succeed, and for the FreedomWorks Tea Party War Room, the nerve center of the Tea Party movement. The War Room provides vital information needed to mobilize grassroots action.
Here at FreedomWorks, I talk to people from all over the country every day and try to give them the tools to connect with each other, to be better citizen lobbyists, so to speak. I really think the key to this whole movement is knowledge and information sharing, and a lot of that has to be done online, but a lot of it also has to be done offline. The face-to-face meetings between FreedomWorks and between the local activists, I think, will allow us to make these people 10 times more effective than they are now, so that they're going into the election this year with their own political machine that can take on both political parties and prevail.
So there's 4 things we need to think about. The first, we're already halfway there. We got to fight these legislative fights.
The one thing I really like about FreedomWorks, that I love about FreedomWorks, are the people. The people are amazing. They're smart, they're engaged, they're active, and they're very concerned about helping Americans get the right tools to be successful in the fight for small government.
They're an incredible partner in this Tea Party movement, and Tea Party Patriots is formed out of it, and they're probably our strongest ally.
I'm representing thousands of people in Arkansas that want a voice to be heard.
I actually became involved in FreedomWorks before I became involved with the Tea Party movement. And it's because I was drawn to their message. I was drawn to their message that they didn't care about party. They cared about principle.
They've been an incredible support structure. This movement is made up of people who are newly minted activists, not experts. We've never run nonprofits before. We're not professional activists. To have an organization that understands the road that we're on and who provides support without dominance, who doesn't pretend to be leading the Tea Party movement, but who is just here with a helping hand to support activists, that's very powerful, and I'm not sure what would happen with, or would have happened without them.
Here's the deal. The moment of truth for you and me and our grandchildren's futures when that guy's standing on the floor of the House and the Senate and he's asked to cast his vote. Now, you want him, when he casts that vote, to be more afraid of Harry Reid or us? We want him to be afraid of the American people. If he's got fear, if vote's going to be defined by fear, let it be those of us who believe in freedom and responsible government.
Well, if we don't stop this idea that government can create wealth, that government must dominate our lives, dominate our health care, dominate what you can do and can't do in terms of starting a business or pursuing a career, we will go down, we'll go off the proverbial cliff.
That freedom is what made this country so exceptional. And the fact that so many are forgetting that is what has put us at risk. And we can change that. And I think that's what FreedomWorks does every day.
Take America Back. It's an ambitious plan to transform the energy of the Tea Party movement into a permanent governing force this November. It's the most intensive effort in the 26-year history of FreedomWorks. Take America Back calls for an unprecedented expansion of our resources. This plan urgently needs the generous support of patriots like you. And thanks to a matching gift challenge now in effect, your donation will be matched dollar for dollar. Now is the time to stand up for freedom. Stand up for the America we want to save and pass on to our children and grandchildren.
You look back at 1994, where you had this massive turnover in the House and Senate, the so-called Republican Revolution. Well, what triggered that? 9 million new voters that hadn't voted before. They were new to the process, and it was a complete game-changing phenomenon. This group is bigger, it's more organized, and it's potentially more powerful politically.
Every one of us needs to do everything that we can to continue to build and to strengthen that movement so that the will of the American people is felt in its full force.
Let's get back to where the government is a service to the nation rather than the nation being in servitude to the government.